Brigadier General French, Colonel Poporik, distinguished guests, leaders, members of the 157th Air Refueling Wing, community partners, and friends. Welcome and thank you for letting me speak today. And thank you, Aaron, for sharing your beautiful gift of music with us. I'm Major Michelle Mastrobattista. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to Pease Air National Guard Base today. We are so grateful that we were able to open up our gates to our friends, family, and community to share in today's events. Whether that be to see cool planes, connect with neighbors, get out of the house after being pent up these past 18 months, or perhaps for another reason. As we each think back to where we were on September 10th, 2001, the memory is probably fuzzy. If I told you September 10th, 2001 was a Monday, you may be able to deduce where you were. Maybe you were at work, maybe you were at school, maybe you're on vacation, maybe you have no idea. But when I ask you to think back to Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, I bet you have a very vivid picture of where you were. At Dover High School, I stood behind Chad Novak and watched live on TV the second plane crash into the second Twin Tower. He turned to me somberly and said, "This is big," and right he was. It wasn't long after 9 o'clock when the Dean of Students, Mr. Booty, ran through the hallways of the 1970s mint green building to stop and peek into the door windows to gain visual accountability of the students. After experiencing a day of shock and denial, I sat in my church in Dover and asked the primal question repeatedly, why? But after days of processing what had actually had just taken place, a fire within me was lit. As an operational unit with many part-time members who work in aviation on the civilian side, there are people here today who were physically in the air as the attacks took place. And some of you may remember getting the call you wish you never picked up, finding out a loved one was the victim of a terrorist attack. On September 11th, 2,996 lives were stolen that day between the attacks at the World Trade Center, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon. For reference, this 2,996 number equates to about every military and civilian member of the New Hampshire Air and Army National Guard. Additionally, over 33,000 police officers, firefighters, responders, and community members have since suffered from medical ailments directly connected to the attacks. That's like diagnosing every man, woman, and child from the city of Derry with a life-altering medical condition. But those are just numbers talking. Some of you may have come here today in a conscious effort to remember the life-changing events of September 11th, 2001. When we collectively stop and reflect on that day, for many of us, an innumerable amount of emotion begins to flow from our memories and through our veins. Following the attacks, some of you may have immediately felt anger. Anger that someone had the gall to attack something you love dearly and you couldn't do anything about it. Others may have first felt sadness. Sadness that thousands of innocent lives were stolen due to extreme hate. Some may have felt fear of wondering, am I next? And others may have felt guilt for being left behind when it could have been you who was the victim of terrorism. This is just a small sample of how we felt 20 years ago, but still resonate very much with us today. When all the possible emotions are tallied up and accounted for, it equates to one thing, and that one thing is the essence of the American spirit. The American spirit is what motivates, invigorates, and activates us to do things we wouldn't otherwise. Following the attacks on our great nation, people did not cower from service. The opposite happened. Members of our society volunteered and chose still to become firefighters, police officers, pilots, EMTs, and soldiers who would inevitably retaliate against those who tried to harm our American spirit. Who are these people that have pledged a life of selflessness and service, protectors of our American spirit? This special group of people were common at first, like the farmers of the American Revolution who put down their plows and picked up rifles 246 years ago. Yet when these common men and women of today swore to uphold a code of values that places others above themselves, they too became heroes. They are the patriots of today and our hope for a better tomorrow. As we turn a new chapter on this 20th anniversary and thank the patriots of today, we must remember to live life how the departed of 9/11 might have wanted. A life relishing the small but great things. A life full of cherished relationships, laughter, and beauty. A life where we work together to achieve a common goal. A life where we appreciate the commonalities that make us human. As you walk around today and share in the joy and sense of community, I will leave you with 3 thoughts. Never forget those who paid the ultimate sacrifice on that faithful day. Never become blind to the future and what gifts it holds. And never lose the flame that keeps the American spirit alive and well. Let us continue to keep the American spirit and the spirit of those who passed away on September 11th, 2001, to remain strong in our thoughts and hearts always. Live free or die. Thank you.